Hello and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the Algebra 1 concept of graph transformations. This is standard A.3E in the great state of Texas, and we are using item number 11 of the 2016 released STAAR test. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause the video, work this problem out on your own, unpause it, and we will look at our answers together. So we have a linear function that's not graphed, but they say it is graphed. F of x equals x on a coordinate plane. So let's see what that looks like. So if I'm going to graph this f of x equals x, well really, if we want to look at the f of x, right, the f of x is going to serve as our range. So we could really look at it as y equals x. And typically, we're used to at least having some type of slope there. But you know what? Without any y-intercept, it's going to be a direct variation is what that's going to be. So what that means is that our x and y are always going to be equal. So it's going to be 1, 1, and then 2, 2, and then 3, 3. And so we could just kind of draw this line, and it's going to be a perfect diagonal bisecting the x and the y axis. It goes through the origin. So that's our f of x equals x, probably one of the most basic graphs out there, where x and y are equal to each other. Now, the graph of a new line, that's what we're going to look at, is formed by two things. First, we change the slope to 2/3, and then the y-intercept to 4. And then we need to find one of these statements that describes the relationship between the two graphs. So that's the original graph right there. So let's change this color here. Let's change it to blue. There we go. And that's going to be our new one. So our new one, we have a slope now, and we have a y-intercept. So we're actually going to change it to our slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. And we know that our original slope here was 1 because it was they were equal to each other, right? But now we have a slope of 2/3. So y equals 2/3 x, and then we have a y-intercept of 4, right? So we already have a different point, right? It's going to go through right here, up here at 4. So that's already something very different. And then we've got a slope of 2/3. So what does that mean? Okay, so that slope of 2/3 means, remember, it's the rise over the run, or that's the change in y over the change in x. So they're both positive, so that means I'm going to go up 2. So we're having to extend this graph here. So let's say I go up 2 right there, but then I go over 3. 1, 2, 3. So I am not necessarily going up as much as I am going over. I'm going up 2, I'm going over 3. So you notice with just those 2 points right there, I could extend this out, and we could see how this graph is going to change. And you can tell the 2 would eventually intersect somewhere maybe off the screen a little bit. So that's our second line there. Let's see what our answer selections could possibly be. The new line is green, so it says the graph of the new line is steeper than the graph of the original line. And it looks like those are my options first. Steeper or less steep, steeper or less steep. Well, if I were to go steeper, it would actually be a little bit more like this, closer to vertical. This is actually closer to horizontal. It is less steep. Because it is less than 1. If your slope is greater than 1, it becomes steeper and steeper. So it's not going to be steeper. So I'm going to cross out A and C. And then what does that y-intercept do? Well, it either the y-intercept has been translated up, or the y-intercept is translated down. Well, it's a positive 4, not a negative 4. We can easily see it was pushed up. So my answer is going to be B.